I'm here today with Dupè Aleru. She is the CEO of Tutors for Tots and also the founder and chief creative officer for DAVI Creative. Dupè, welcome to My Company Story.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Don.
Dupè, hi. Can you tell us a little bit about the two companies, if you'd like to, what you guys do, who your customers are? Describe a little of that for us, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So back in 2011, I started Tutors for Tots. The LLC name back then was Tutors for Tots Tweens and Teens. So it was a K-12 in-home tutoring company. And the reason for starting that company was due to the layoffs. So I was a former teacher. I taught for 4 years for Long Beach Unified School District, kindergarten for 2 years, second grade. And after the final year of being laid off, I just decided, you know what, enough's enough. Like, I could not keep this up. So it was actually the suggestion of my last year's students' parents. They actually came to me the last week of school. They felt so bad that I was losing my job, and they suggested that I tutored their children during the summer. And what happened was me just tutoring a couple kids, and it ended up being a full-blown tutoring company a few months later. So I definitely have them to thank for that. But yeah, I started, doing tutoring services for my community back then in 2011. It was still new. You had big companies like Sylvan Learning Center and Kumon, but you didn't see a lot of smaller tutoring companies. So in my city, I was one of the first ones outside of the big companies. And there's a high need for supplemental education services. And we provided those tutoring in reading and math. And we did test prep as well as speech and language tutoring. What else did we do? Counseling. And it just really started to pick up, and we started to contract with school districts, and we never looked back.
Well, congratulations. And you
Thank you.
you started off with just yourself, I imagine. Then you added a few
Yeah.
employees, and you've got a number of employees then. And those employees, are they teachers then that are actually hands-on with the students, teaching them and working that way, right?
Yes, I mean, I literally started in my living room, and just even thinking about it today, I have to laugh because the fact that I trusted random people to come in my home, or they even trusted me, and parents would be in my living room reading a book, and I would be tutoring on my dining room table. And, after maybe about a year or two, I had a handful of clients. It became overwhelming to kind of keep up with all my students. So then I started to hire my first 1099 employee, and one led to two to three, and sooner than later, I mean, I've worked with between 20 to 25 independent contractors at a time.
Wow, that's great. That's a great story.
Yes.
Now's a good time if you can. Tell us a little bit about your personal journey. I mean, what was your background? What was your family like life growing up, your mom and dad? What did you glean from that experience to take you to the accomplished woman that you are today?
Sure. I mean, I'm firstborn generation in the United States. My parents are Nigerian immigrants. So growing up, my parents instilled a very strong work ethic for my siblings and I. My dad managed restaurants growing up. He owned Chubby's Diner. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It's like a 60s type style diner where they would host like car shows, and it was amazing. So just watching my dad as an entrepreneur as a young kid, and then my mom was an OBGYN nurse. So she delivered babies for about 40 years. And so they worked hard, and I always had an entrepreneurship quality. If I look back, I was going door to door selling random stuff like almonds. I mean, now it doesn't make any sense, but I made money. And, so it was no surprise, I guess, to my friends and family that I'm an entrepreneur today, because I've always had that go-getter mentality. But yeah, like my parents, just seeing my dad working hard and owning the business, that allowed me to be really the first one out of my siblings to be an entrepreneur. And it's great to look at my siblings now, because most of us own our own businesses. My mom retired she probably doesn't want me to tell everyone her age, but at 67, and she ended up opening up her own nursing institute, and she's contracted with the state of California. So
Wow, good for you. So it runs in the
definitely runs in
family.
the family.
Yeah, that's
Definitely does.
fantastic. Now, did you go, so you became a teacher then? So obviously you went to school you
Mhm,
have an education degree, became a teacher, Long Beach School District, and then teaching for a number of years before you then saw the opportunity to
mhm.
start the tutoring for Tots business. And now tell us now, I know you've also pivoted into the chief creative officer or content officer for DoVi. So tell us a little bit about how that started and why you did that and what that's all about.
Yeah, so just so people know exactly like a little bit about me too, I'm a motivational speaker and content creator full time. So I tell people I'm an entrepreneur because education will always have a place in my heart. That's kind of where it all started. And when people ask me, like, how do you speak so well? Like, how do you get on stage? To me, it's educating on a mass scale. It's just getting outside the classroom and just being on the stage and teaching. And that's pretty much what I see myself as, still an educator. And I transitioned to the world of speaking, and I'll get to how DAVI started. But it really began when and this will kind of answer one of your questions, Dawn. How do I differentiate from my competitors? When I started my tutoring company, I realized that I can't compete with the Sylvans and the Kumans. And so I had to come up with something that was unique to my own gifts and talents. And what I realized was creating content. I started creating educational shows for kids. I was hired by companies like ehow.com to create educational videos for their website. And then I started creating curriculum. And once Long Beach Unified School District purchased my curriculum, I realized, wow, I have this gift to creating content. And then I was hired by the Long Beach City, which was the Department of Health, to create a curriculum as well. And from that point on, I realized, wait a minute, I really like this content creation thing. And so that kind of pivoted me into the world of speaking and content creation, because me putting videos on YouTube or social media, people started to call me a speaker. I didn't even consider myself a speaker until people started calling me that. And then I started getting invited to speak on panels and stages. And then I realized, wow, this is my purpose. This is where I belong. And so from there, I created DAVI Creative, which is a creative agency. And it's really me helping other creatives create content to build an online brand, because that's exactly what I did.
I see. So, okay, so let me get this path right. So here you are, you're a Long Beach
Uh-huh.
City school teacher, teaching little kids all
Uh-huh.
this stuff. Found a need, went off on your own, tutors for tots, had a bunch of employees teaching kids, doing that whole
Mhm.
thing. Then realizing you were creating content, you were really good. You were just speaking on stage, you're teaching on stage, just a larger audience, not just one to one anymore. And
Yep.
you create this content,
Yep.
and the content is the curriculum.
Yep.
And now that's grown into now the speaking that you do and helping other
Mhm.
speakers, helping other authors and people who are in that space
Mhm.
then. Are you still involved with the tutoring of kids and doing this also, or has one pivoted over to the other?
Yeah, one pivoted over. So I'm predominantly focused more on the speaking. And what happened was, when I would be live streaming and telling people about my Scale High program, which was the curriculum I created for Long Beach Unified, people started asking me, well, how do I create a course? How do I create curriculum? Now we all see online courses are the hot new thing in every market now. But even 10 years ago, or in 2014, when I was creating them, it was still new. And so I started to help one person and the next. And these were people in different industries. I mean, personal trainers, pastors, health and wellness enthusiasts, barbers, and hairstylists. I mean, you name it. I've helped people in almost every industry. And then I became the content or curriculum developer in my market. And so I kind of ran with that for a few years, helping other speakers create their online training courses. And then I realized, you know what, I don't want to box myself in just curriculum, because if you go on Instagram or LinkedIn, which we met through my videos, I'm known as the video creator. And
Mm,
so that's where DAVI comes in. DAVI for DAVI stands for digital courses, is the D. The A stands for audio content, the V for video content, and the I for images. So I pretty much meshed everything that I like to create underneath one brand. And
that's
I help
fantastic.
other speakers.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about who is your ideal client, and tell us a story about
Yeah.
how you help that person.
My ideal clients for should we talk about DAVI?
Sure, of
For
course.
DAVI would be other speakers. I mean, I built a speaker brand in less than 2 years, and it was all through content creation. So now on my membership site, davimembers.com, I have a platform where we divide into three categories: brand development, how to build a brand on social media, which is very important in this day and age; curriculum development, people want to learn how to build an online course; and speaker development, how do you become a speaker, and what are the tools and strategies you need to be seen and to be known as an influencer in that market.
So if you can, tell our audience an example of someone that you've helped in this area that is very happy
Mhm.
with what you're doing, the success story.
Sure. I will talk about Ariana because she is like my A+ student. And Ariana Stow, she was someone who came to me to be her coach, and she was lost. She didn't really know where she wanted to be. I mean, she was all over the place doing what are those Bitcoin stuff, like just all kinds of stuff. But she was a trainer too. So she was always saying, well, I do this to make money, and I do this and I do this. And I was like, listen, you're amazing at, like, her personality is amazing. I think you would be great at speaking, but you need to build your brand. And after a few months of coaching her and her kind of not wanting to go my route, she ended up saying, okay, I'll give it a try. Now I mean, she's right now being casted for her own TV show. She's been featured in a magazine. She has her own Rolodex of clients that she trains. And she's been sponsored by some agencies and brands for fitness. And it all happened because she finally listened and she built her brand on Instagram, and she's just doing phenomenally well.
Wow,
And I
that's
actually met her
fantastic.
in person for the first time.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if you, how did you do that? I mean, we only have a couple of minutes here, but I mean, how do
Okay.
you take someone who has no brand and no social footprint, so to speak, and she's in all these places in such a short period of time? I mean, what did you do?
Honestly, I've always had, and I'm sure you do too, I've always had a gift for pointing out someone's gifts and talents. And I will always point someone in the right direction because someone did that for me. And, that's one of the reasons why I've had all these contracts with school districts. My tutoring company was always the popular site to intern. I always had a ton of interns each semester because I was able to see, wow, you're going to school for this, but I think you would be really great at sales and marketing, or think you'd be really great at this. And I would say a good majority of my interns ended up going the path that I pointed out that they were great at. So I think I have that natural gift. And I think that's just about leadership. Every leader is able to point out something great about their mentee or someone that they're mentoring. So Ariana, I mean, it was just obvious to me. She's just very personable. She has a lot of energy. She knows how to articulate her words. She's a great speaker, and she wanted to train people. So if you want to become one of the top well-known trainers, you have to build a brand online. And so it was pretty easy to kind of steer her in that direction.
Got it. So you really saw some raw material in her, and you saw
Hmm.
something in her that if you just did a few of these things, and let me just help coach you along these areas, you'll have all this
Hmm.
going for you. So she had the raw material, and it was all
Yep.
there at the beginning. You identified it. She wanted it. She was motivated, and she's a hard worker, I imagine. And then she ran with it
Oh,
and
yes.
became that person. Then that's great. That's a great story.
Yeah.
And
Thank
also
you.
in the tutors for tots, I mean, I'm sure you have some kids. Do you follow any of the kids from, you've been doing this for 10 years now. I mean, from now they're
Yeah.
got high school, college, and you can see how you've identified and helped some kids early on that are now doing great things later in life.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel really old. I do. But like, it's funny because actually when my program was being implemented at one of the local high schools, two of the students in my program, I remember walking in during orientation because I always speak during orientation. And I'm looking at these two boys and I'm like, oh my goodness, when I was actually a second grade teacher, they were literally 8. They were my students. And they're like, Miss Aleru? And so it was kind of cool to see them all grown up in high. I mean, their faces were the same, which was kind of funny. But they were like growing up to be men. And so it was really cool to see how they were from second grade to high school because I was a part of that. And
Yeah.
as far as my Scale High program, we definitely, the principals and we communicate, and they definitely tell us all the feedback Personally, we don't really keep in touch with the students, but definitely the school does. And they always give us that data and let us know how they're doing. And everybody's always excelling. So
That's wonderful. That's great. You've really made a difference to a lot of people then. That's fantastic. All right,
thank you.
Dupè, let me talk a little bit about what I ask everyone who comes on the show. Tell us about a challenge that you faced and how you've overcome that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur is really just finding your niche. I think that I've adjusted and kind of maneuvered over the last 10 years, and I'm in a really good spot today where I am, but it took years to get there. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, you have to try different things. And, sometimes your industry is oversaturated with maybe something that you want to do. So you have to figure out how, like you said, to differentiate yourself from your competitors. And so that's something that was very challenging for me when I started Tutors for Tots. How I can't compete with Sylvan. How can I differentiate? Then I went the curriculum development route, which landed me contracts with school districts throughout Los Angeles County. As far as a motivational speaker and content creator, I still had to find my niche, which was, okay, I'm the queen of content. I want to be the person known as the video creator, powerful videos, and online courses, as well as a great speaker. So yeah.
Great. Great. So really finding your niche is the secret to success as far as you're concerned, and really knowing what you do, doing it well, not finding some space that is less competitive that you can make the most impact in. And you did that very successfully with Tutors for Tots, and now you're searching for that, or you haven't quite found where that is, although you're learning on that. Now tell us about that process. How do you go about finding that in this new area that you're in right now, in the motivational speaking and content creation? How do you find that niche? What do you do to test things or to move forward in that area?
Well, I found it. So I finally found it. So the first two, since I've been speaking for 2 years, it was hard. And this year, I finally found it. And that was the reason why I created DAVI. Because in the beginning, when I started speaking in 2018, I didn't know where I was. So I was always coaching, very broad, anybody. And I was speaking on any stage because I just wanted to speak and get out there. And as I started to build my online brand, become a motivational influencer, and really find my area, I realized these are the areas that I like to be in, on as far as like my audience, where I like to speak and also create content. And so kind of what I mentioned earlier, I went from being that curriculum developer to really saying, I don't want to just be pinned down in that niche. I want to be more known as a content creator, because I can do more than just curriculum development. I know how to edit videos and create content for my membership site. So
I see.
I finally got there.
I see. That's great. So yeah, I see. So you identify an area that you want to go into. You go into that area, and then you kind of test a little bit here, a little bit there, test all these things, and
Yep,
then it comes to you. All of a sudden, the clouds start to part, and the fog clears, and you say, "This is really
exactly.
where I am. Here's my lane. I'm going to run in this lane and really run hard in there," because you've already known that that's the space that's going to be the most productive for you.
Exactly.
That's
Perfect.
fantastic.
Exactly.
Now, what lessons would you say that you've learned that you'd like to pass along to other business owners who might be listening to us right now?
Delegate, delegate, delegate.
Really? Why do you say that? I mean, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very type A. And if you're listening and you're a type A person, we like to do things like by ourselves, like because we know we're going to get it done. And I got that from my mom. I don't know if it's her background in nursing, but she's a perfectionist and she's very OCD. Oh my goodness. I was just home for Thanksgiving. We don't want to get into that, but she's definitely OCD. And so for me, when I first, as entrepreneurs, when you start your own company, it's your baby. Nobody's going to love it the way you love it. And so we tend to think no one can do it like we can do it, which is not necessarily true. And so, what I've learned over the last 10 years, the last 2 years, I realized, wait, I do have to delegate. Yes, I know how to build websites. Yes, it's great that I know a lot about accounting and I know how to manage my company and I know a lot about marketing, but I can't do everything, because there's an old saying that goes, if you try to be everything to everyone, you become nothing to no one. And anytime you spread yourself out too thin, you're less productive. So finally, this past year, I realized, let me delegate, let me find interns and, people that can do the things that I can do, but I'm not great at, and let me focus what I'm great at, which is speaking and creating content.
That's great. That's wonderful. That's well said. And I think the audience can really hear
Thank
in
you.
your voice how passionate you are about that and that you really truly believe that. And it's so true. From all the entrepreneurs I've spoken to, delegating is a
Mhm.
key. You've got to surround yourself with really good people, let go of some things,
Yep,
give them the reins to do it, and they'll help you succeed where meeting your goals. So fantastic.
exactly.
What is the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
Well, my name is very unique, so you can find me very easily. So DupèAleru.com is my website, DUPEALERU.com, and then all social media. It's just my name.
Great. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all those areas.
Yep, everything. Just the Instagram.com/Dupè Aleru, LinkedIn, just the slash and then my name.
Great, fantastic. Well, Dupé, you've been a wonderful guest on the show. I really appreciate you
Thank
having on here.
you.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we part then? Any other parting words for either the people that you know that may be listening or to other business owners that may be listening?
I just say follow your heart, follow your passion. There's a lot of people who are very passionate about being an entrepreneur. If this is you, I say go for it. 2020 is going to be a big year. I know every year we say that, but I think 2020 is one of those mega years. And it's now or never. Life's too short to be sitting on ideas. So if you have an idea of a product, of a service, of a business, get started today.
That's a great way to end the show. I appreciate you being on, and we look forward to following your
Thank you.
success. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Don.
Hey, thanks for listening to My Company Story. We have new episodes coming out every week, so please subscribe if you like this. And if you'd like to hear previous episodes, you can go to mycompanystory.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, if you or someone you know would be interested in coming on the show, please email me at don@verge.com. Thanks for listening.